the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. Scholars and family. Today we're heading back to the birthplace of bars, the mecca of lyricism, the city that raised icons, New York City, has always been the proving ground. And every once in a while, someone comes along who reminds us that the pulse of hip hop is still alive, evolving, and in the right hands. That someone is Sumaya Nazar. Straight out of New York, Sumaya carries that rare duality. She can glide over a melody with R&B smoothness and then, in the same breath, drop a verse that cuts like East Coast winter air. She's the kind of artist who doesn't chase trends. She sets a tone. And right now, the world is starting to listen. Her latest project, 1446 Deluxe, which dropped on September 5th of this year, is a full-bodied reflection of who she is. Vulnerable, yet powerful. Spiritual, yet grounded. Confident, yet still climbing. From tracks like Running to Chip on Your Shoulder, she proves she's not just another artist coming up. She's a storyteller defining her lane with intention. This moment matters because the culture is shifting. We're in an era where young women in hip hop aren't waiting for permission. They are building their own tables, curating their own sound, and reshaping what leadership looks like in this industry. Sumaya represents that shift. She represents that Gen Z boldness, that spiritual core, that lyrical presence, and that creative fearlessness that culture desperately needs. She isn't just emerging, y'all. She is ascending. She's walking into a lane built on authenticity, discipline, vulnerability, and pure raw talent. And when you hear her music, my goodness, you hear someone who is not only ready for the stage, but they are ready for the spotlight. And then there's her new record and video, Float On, featuring Zayn. A declaration, a statement, a mission. This isn't just a song, it's a strategic move. The bars hit sharp, the visuals hit heavy, and the energy hits like someone who knows exactly what she's doing. The video is New York personified, gritty elegance, focused ambition, and a cinematic urgency that makes you lean in. It's the kind of track that signals, I'm about to run my route, I'm about to execute the plan, so pay attention. What makes Sumaya not stand out isn't just the sound, it's the soul. Her connection to faith, to purpose, to representing her generation with integrity. That's what makes her special. She reminds us that hip hop can be sacred and street at the same time. So today we're going to unpack the story behind the songs, the movement behind the music, and the vision behind the name. Because when you say New York or nowhere, you're really talking about artists like Sumaya Nazar. This is the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast, where bars meet bibliographies and culture meets context. Up next, the future of the East Coast, the next name you'll remember and the voice you'll never forget, Sumaya Nazar.
Yes. Thank you so much. What a wonderful intro. Oh my God, thank you.
You are welcome. So welcome. We give flowers here on the podcast here at the Hip Hop Scholar for artists. I mean, I've been following you. I'm part of one of your bulletin boards, and I try to do that for all of my artists. But you have, like, I really adore songs like Running, 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 Running. And then the Chip on Your Shoulders, like that intro with that piano and that melody comes in, and then you're like, this might be the last time you ever see me. And then I was like, listen to this young lady. Wow. I had to have you on the podcast. So yes, ma'am, I'm honored that you are here, and I'm ready to jump in and learn more about your process and the greatness of hip hop you're creating.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet.
Oh, thank you. Oh. I mean, yeah, for this podcast, I want for you all to understand, you are a real artist. You are truly a real artist when it comes to hip hop. And, what you're doing is something that is quite intriguing, and it's very different. The song Running, for example, there's a song by the Far Side called Running. And the video is reminiscent to that, but it's still your own style. It is your voice, you're singing and giving lyrics at the same time. You're dancing there, and the visuals on there impacted so much. So it's almost like a respectful nod to the Far Side Running, but in such a new Gen Z, elegant but bold way. So I can appreciate the artistic value that you present your music as well.
Thank you. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
actually haven't heard anyone compare it to Far Side's Running. I definitely have to go back and watch that video with a different eye now. Um, But yeah, it's always so funny too when people mention the dancing and running because even though I really intentionally put movement in it, I didn't realize how much I was dancing in it and how much movement was involved in it and how people really walk away being like, "Oh, that music video had dance in it," which I always think is really funny, but
I mean, it's a balance of the both of them. Like your lyrics and your voice, it's a sonic boom on the track, and then the video, like even with Float On with Zayn, there is a very targeted, strategic way in which you are bringing up these visuals, right? And even on it was another one I think you did a while ago, a year ago too, where you're having fun. It looks like you're having such a blast, and but you sound like that gritty New York, DMX Rough Riders type sound too. So it's really intriguing again to see the beauty and the elegance, but also, I will beat you up and steal your money type rap that goes along with it. Yeah, so we're not gonna let that smile fool us at all. But you definitely bring it when it comes to the hip hop aspect. Yes,
thank you.
ma'am.
Yeah, I feel like me, that's just always what I see rap as being. Um and it's something that kind of just comes out of me when I get in the studio or when I have to perform live. It's really like an alter ego, but the intentionality of the visuals in the music videos, so much of that is owed to 1495, which is a production company ran by my closest friends who are so intentional about everything that they do, so thoughtful, and so creative, and they really come together to like take whatever vision I pitched originally and make sure that it's as thorough as it can be.
It definitely shines through. Shout out to 1495 because all of the videos that I get to
Yeah.
watch, it's like it's cinema. It is cinematic. So, the movie essence of it and the placement of it, like the part in there where you're dancing in the mirror and they have the mirror, but you're looking and the reflection is pointing at the camera. Like I see all of the nuances and details. And so it really is reminiscent to your vision, but also your lyrics, that musical stance that you're bringing to the audience. 1495, shout out to you all for bringing that to fruition. The audience, the fans, we definitely appreciate it. Yeah, clock it, clock it. There we go. I know. Y'all see the elderly lady doing the clock it, but I'm hip to the game, and I want to also, but I've been in hip hop a long time though, very much so a long time, and then just studying and wanting to study artists like yourself. So let's start with the first question that I always ask my artists: when did you fall in love with hip hop? Right. So talk to me about your first introduction to hip hop.
I think my very first introduction to hip hop that was like conscious and something that I latched onto was through my mom playing the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill a lot. Um, I think my mom's music taste has probably had like the biggest influence on what I listen to now and the music that I make. And Lauryn Hill was like the only rapper that she was really playing. Um, and then after that, one of my older brothers, Alex, definitely like influenced me with hip hop. He would play like a lot of like J. Cole and like that like mid 2010s rap era. Um and then after that, I remember also really being influenced by Nicki Minaj. because I would hear her from like other girls like my age or a little bit older if I went to like dance school or like if I was at a friend's house or like an older cousin or something like that. And the Pink Print by Nicki Minaj was like the first album that I ever bought, like back in like the iTunes like gift card days. I got it on iTunes. So those were my first introductions to hip hop. I think I always loved music, so there isn't like a moment or album that I could say like, "Oh, this is when I knew I loved hip hop," because I always loved all music and I didn't see hip hop as being like something outside of that.
It's a interesting way to say that. Like it's just music, like into this melting pot. Even shout out to your mom. I mean, the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That there was such an iconic CD at the time. And her too being a lyricist and a singer and a female hip hop artist in a time where women were trying to finagle their way into a male dominated mainstream, and but she was a standout, still is a standout. So that one is definitely something I appreciate being introduced to. And it also definitely, now that you mention that, I can see the Lauryn Hill isms in your voice, and even in how you perform a little bit, right? Where that's such like, again, she's an icon. That is like the perfect person. And then you just said too that you were in dance school, so you did dance school, and so you've been in music also. So dance, your voice. Did you also do any instrumentations at any point as well?
Yeah, I played the clarinet and the alto saxophone pretty badly throughout elementary school and middle school. But it did
Hmm.
teach me how to read music, and I also was in like vocal lessons. And honestly, I'm very, very, very blessed to have the mother that I have, because she was just like, if you like art, I got you, like I got you. And she put me in vocal lessons from a young age, so I was able to have like classical training and jazz training, and music was like a huge part of my upbringing, whether it was like through dance or through like actual music training itself.
That's awesome. I wonder what came first. Was it the classical training or was it the hip hop? Like, what came first for you when it came to music?
Um, Honestly, I feel like in some ways I think that's two different questions, because when I think of what came first for me with music period, I just think about what I was around, because my family is very musical, and like something musical was like always playing, I feel like, when I think about my childhood. But between dance and actually like being serious about music from a young age, definitely dance, because I think from when I was 4, my mom would like have me in like ballet and tap classes and stuff like that. And I still really love tap dancing. If I had more time, I would like dust off my shoes, because tap dancing is so cool and it's extremely, extremely musical, obviously.
Oh yeah, that is such a beautiful talent. I just saw on TikTok this guy. He has on like a red leather coat, and he's tap dancing to Glorilla's "What You Know About Me," and he's tap dancing, and it's always so dope to hear the clacks. And then I always wonder about the footwork that you have to do with that. But again, so you're going from using your body as an instrument to reading notes with instruments, your voice, and then being surrounded. So you are just a unicorn in music, where you are just enthralled and immersed in music growing up. So no wonder that you are the star that you are and becoming. That definitely sounds a lot like preparations for you for this spotlight. And then you've grown up in New York, and so that is, the big city, the big apple. So how does growing up in New York, how does that feed into your storytelling, into the R&B rap part of you? Like, what does New York do for you? Remember, you said New York or nowhere. So break that down for us.
I feel like it's everything. I feel like it's in the words that I use and the way that I talk, especially when I'm like rapping versus like being interviewed. But I also think it's like it's the ego in the rap a little bit, if I'm being honest, because New Yorkers, like, we're very proud of who we are. We're proud of where we come from, but we're also just like proud of everything about ourselves, period. And it can come across as egotistical to people. And I learned that the hard way in my 1446 era, like in the time that I actually write about on the EP, because I wasn't in New York. And I was like, oh, like just me like being who I've always been can actually be perceived as like being cocky or being aggressive or being kind of like having an edge. So I think 1446 is a lot softer as a result of me kind of like pulling back those layers and seeing like where all of that really comes from. But in certain tracks like Chip on Your Shoulder, it's there like it's that New York like confidence that's almost delusional, but
But it hits hard though. That like at that very beginning, you're like Peach Bellini. Like you gonna see me or not. And having that arrogance as an artist altogether, that means you're confident in what you create. And how wonderful to feel that way. And shame on those who can't feel like that for themselves because people will project, right? They other people will project their shortcomings and make you feel like, oh, I shouldn't be so you know admirable about what I create. But in all essence, you truly should. That is a great thing, to be confident, to have an ego when it comes to that, because how else humility is a good thing, but to also have that arrogance to know and continue, right? There are negative commentary, there are the negatives of there, so that also helps you to navigate that, right? What would you say to that about how the arrogance or being a New Yorker altogether? Shout out to the NYC. How does that help you to navigate the terrains of this music industry?
I mean, it definitely helps me the most when I'm on stage because there are times that you're performing for an audience that either isn't rocking with you like at all, like they're waiting for your set to be done simply just because it's not their taste. Like I've like opened for like friends who are like indie rock artists or like do something that's totally different just because they're my friend and it's like the audience is like who is this and what's going on? Um or sometimes you think the audience doesn't like you because maybe it is a different kind of audience or they're shy or you're someplace else and they really do, they just express it differently. And in those moments that like that energy of like I'll confront whoever, like everybody's my friend, like I'ma just do what I need to do. I know exactly who I am and I'm gonna show you guys is life saving when you're on stage, like on the edge of embarrassing yourself in front of like 100 people. Um, but just in general, especially I think being a woman in the industry, being young in the industry, the fact that I'm still a student, I'm still in college, sometimes people look to take advantage. And it makes all the difference if like you make it clear that you're not someone who can be taken advantage of.
Exactly. That's absolutely right. Going to college means that you are learning to, create your own theory, to, heighten your intelligence. I also want to say, I got this T-shirt. I went to the Kendrick Lamar SZA concert with my son. Shout out to my son Omar, and we actually had front row tickets to go in DC. Yes, ma'am. I spent that. It was for his birthday, but when you were talking about the audience not resonating with you performing, let me tell you, when SZA. Now I'm a K. Dot Kendrick Lamar fan down. I like SZA, but I was there for Kendrick Lamar. But when SZA came on the stage, when I tell you, I could not hold my phone in my hand. I was so mesmerized, like I couldn't clap, I couldn't move. I mean, I was just in awe of her. And if someone were to see me, they probably would have been like, "Oh, she must don't like SZA because my hands are down, my face is like one way, but I am in a trance looking at SZA and the whole thing. She was riding on an ant and the people dancing. It was amazing. And I think that's what happened with you too, is that, like you said, people will, we can't really understand how they perceive based on the surface level, right? But when I say internally, right, and listening and looking and researching your music and your style, you have nothing at all to be like humble about. Like you are a rising star with the dancing, with the music, with the singing, with the visuals, with the, and then being from the mecca of lyricism. You are born and raised of New York City. So yes, you have every right, especially like when you said you used to listen to Nicki Minaj. Nicki is an egotistical, you know, alternative personality, fashion forward and backward type person, and we love that of her. As much as people may say they don't like Nicki, guess what? They'll sing her songs whenever it comes on. Every single time it'll be on the background of one of their posts on TikTok and Instagram. So the let me say this as well. You're doing something right when you have haters. Okay? You're doing something right and you're on the right track when somebody's trying to tell you what to do. So if you ever come across that, you're definitely on the right path, my dear. So know that for sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So, in your Instagram bio, at one point, you reference an unbreakable bond with faith and music. How does your faith guide you, not just your life, but in the way you create, perform, and share your art?
Oh, I think it's everything. I think my faith is like the moral compass that I use to navigate every part of my life. And it's so intertwined into my life. Even like before I hopped on this call, I was like, oh, let me do my prayers real quick. Um, so I think it shows up in every way, and it shows up in, I hope it shows up in how I present myself. I think especially as a female artist in the industry, because there's so many things that I could be doing and that I could be saying, but I'm very decisive about what I choose to do. Um and I hope that my values are seen as like the reason why I present myself in the ways that I do. Um yeah, it truly means everything to me. It's hard to like get specific because I think it's the foundation for my life now at this point.
That's right. The foundation, and you'll grow into that. And I really appreciate you're taking that time out for your spiritual life before coming onto the podcast. That's so important in every aspect of life, in music, in college, before going to work, after work, is really honing in on that foundation and that faith that you have, no matter what it may be, but being true to that. And that also, being arrogant about it. Your faith determines much. And, taking time before you eat, before you sleep, before you step to the microphone, that's giving honor to a higher power and recognizing that you are blessed with this talent because of that. And that is something very special, especially to hear from a young person as well, is that using faith to guide you and not just something that, oh, I'll get to that later. Like I'll do it after the podcast or after the show. Yeah, mom, I'll come show up at the mosque or at the church later on. No, you take that time, and that's honorable. That's definitely something that is honorable and will be honored as you continue on. So I appreciate that. As a youth, you sound so very wise and very knowledgeable in everything that you do, especially like when you were saying how, because 1446 Deluxe, that's like a part two, because you have another 1446, right? Right.
Yes.
Um, okay, so and then that's like two different layers. So let's talk about the creative process from going from that 1446 to the deluxe. What moments or songs felt the most personal? The ones where you knew this is exactly why I am an artist. So you could take from both of those if you like. But what songs let you know for sure this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing?
For sure, I think the sun, just because if I did an actual like full lyrical breakdown of that one little verse, it is so dense and so packed with references. Um political references, religious references, cultural references. And I think it's delivered in a way where it doesn't seem that way. Um, and I think Float On is very similar, but I think people catch on to what I'm talking about a bit more. But that The Sun was like the first thing that I wrote. First of all, it was the first thing I had written at that point in a long time. Like I had basically stopped writing music for anything that like wasn't like a pop school assignment, and I was like miserable as a songwriter. And The Sun was like me getting my voice back. It was me rediscovering my voice because it was so different than anything I had ever written. Um, but it was the first thing for 1446, and I think it is a very like saturated example of what I'm saying throughout the whole project.
Indeed. Okay. And that let you know again to rediscover you, because I know being a college student and even just the life as it is, it can take you away from what makes you the happiest, what you're most passionate about. But I'm glad that, and I say this to many artists, that you've selected hip hop to be able to express yourself, to find yourself. Even it's therapy, the catharsis of being able to, come back to who you are. You've born and raised in a musical environment with musicians and music. To be away from that is almost like, taking a plant away from the sun. So as in that song, The Sun, it sounds like, you're the plant, finally getting fed and getting that chlorophyll and becoming greener based on the sun being there and, being taken away, we shrivel, we, not able to thrive. So that's really profound. And like, I love
Oh,
the
I'm
words
so
you
happy
in
you said.
saturating dance. Yes. Mhm.
I'm sorry. I think I cut you off. I'm so happy that you said that. I really had not thought about that, and I had been cognizant of the fact that when I was studying abroad for the first time, I was removed from artistic environments, and I was in just like very different like social circles and academic circles, but I had never really made the connection to how personal it was and how that must have affected my work and how the sun is speaking to that as well. So I really, really, really appreciate you saying that. I learned so much about my music from like people like you. So I love stuff like this because I'm like, oh yes,
Yes.
that's true.
Hmm. And that's why we have these platforms. That's why we want to interview and unpack with you and even reveal things to the artists, because again, this is my opportunity to study, to almost like a case study, and look at those specifics and those details, because like the video Float On, again, the cinema is there. Like the guy walks up, I get that's Zane, and then you're there, and then you in this hood, and you have this face on you and everything, and then you hear the music, and it's like, wow, I've experienced the fullness of it, and it would have been so different had I just heard the song before the video, and vice versa, right? And all of those layers, all of us who are interviewers, podcasters, but really true to the music and to the musicians, everything that a hip hop artist or artist altogether, it's not lost on the people, the real fans, the audience. We're not here just to, screenshot and say, oh yeah, I met Sumaya Nazar. No, I want to understand the process. Like when you are creating music and then you're studying abroad, but also with your creating music, like what needs to happen for you? Is it a mood? Is it, a song, the beat? Is it colors? Like what do you have to do for you to create the music, right? And get into the whole thing of it.
It depends on the song, honestly. I think through my music education, especially in college, I've gotten to the point where it's like, if I just need to write a good song to write a good song, I could do that. Like, and I don't mean to sound like cocky or bragging when I say that. It's not
Why
even
not?
necessarily
No,
that it would be
no.
a song
Why
that I'm proud.
why not? No, you be no, ma'am. Let's stop that today. You speak as you speak it. You talk like you walk it. No, ma'am. No apologies. No more of that. You put that chin up high. You say it like you want to say it. I want you to do so. So, with all the cockiness, with all the arrogance, tell me everything. Yes, ma'am. I want to know.
You know what? Period. So it was like, if you want me to write a song real quick, I could do that, and like it really wouldn't be difficult. But to write a song that I think adds to my story of who I am as an artist and displays something that I want to share and that has a concept behind it and that I know will have like good visuals and perform well. Um I think that takes for me to just like be in the zone in life in general. Like I need to be like in a good headspace. I need to be reflective. I need to be thinking about like what I want to confront and be like brave enough to put it in writing. I need to feel like I have other musicians around me who are like making instrumentals and beats that I resonate with. And I think of like my projects and things like that in eras. So it's like, what is me right now, kind of. Um, but then I have other songs that were just like, oh, I'm in a session, let me write a song, or like, oh, this is cool, let me write a song. And they're kind of like, they stood on their own in a moment because it really was just the act of, I could write a song.
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you are a trained musician, classically trained to dance, to sing, to move with that. So if someone were to ask you to write music, I mean, you could write music easily, a masterpiece even, that the average person could never touch. And that's something that you have been trained and professionally polished to do. And then channeling that expertise, right? You know, you have a PhD in musicology, and so now you're able to use it to express yourself. So again, I love how you explained it, that your music shifts in eras of who you are at the time. And so depending on the musicians, what they're playing, what the beat is, then you channel that curriculum that you know into something that you feel. And that is a very dynamic way to think of it, is that you have the, you know, the ability to create music no matter what genre as well. I'm sure if they needed you to do an R&B, a indie, a rock and roll, you're like, okay, just whatever you want, and you're writing it, period, like with ease. And then for yourself, you're merging all of those personalities again with that. You know, that is again, I say this a lot, but hip hop artists like yourself, Sumaya, you have a superpower. You are part of the X-Men, where you are able to do things with ease. You can lift up, you know, with all its power, and using that with music in a very positive way. And so again, your faith be helping you to be rooted with this magnificence of a superpower, and harnessing it as well. You know, the Cyclops, where when they take off his glasses, it shoots out a red beam, but then he has to keep the glasses on so that he doesn't destroy everything he walks about. That sounds like your music too, where you're harnessing it and taking those glasses to destroy everything. Because sometimes you sing, and then sometimes when you are rapping, you are like, again, very reminiscent to that 90s, even 80s Rough Rider type rapping. Um, and so that just shows again your duality, the multifacetedness of your musical style. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Of course. So you again, so this question I have, you've got such a unique blend of rap and R&B. How has your sound evolved since you first started dropping tracks? What moment made you realize you found your voice? So starting from the very beginning, when you first were like, you know what, let me pick up the mic and rap, to then to now, what are some things that you notice you've grown, and maybe even changed or stayed true to?
I think the way that I think about rap as relating to production has definitely evolved. When I first started writing raps, like I really only knew about songwriting like in a very basic way. So I never really thought about like the instrumental too much outside of like, do I like it? Like, could I be on it? Um, and I didn't have like a lot of agency over the production in general. But now, like, those are things that I actively think about, and like, I even write certain things knowing that I want to chop it up or I want this amount of delay on it or like whatever. And that wasn't something that I thought about when I first started writing raps. So that has definitely changed. And for me in general, I was always comfortable with the idea of being a songwriter as long as it pertained to things that were like sung. But the second it turned into rap, I felt very shameful of it when I was younger. And over time, like in the beginning of high school and stuff like that, I just started sharing it with people and I got more validated. And eventually, like I learned to take it seriously. Um, and I learned to perform it and to like be comfortable sharing it. Um, so that has been like a big part of my journey as well. Although it's not something that I think about as much now that I'm like older. There was definitely a point in time where I was like, being a rapper is like too scandalous. Like I can't do this, even though it was something that I really loved and something that I was writing. Um, so yeah, the way that I've thought about myself and how being more confident in who I am as an MC influenced how I was willing to think about the music has been the biggest shift, probably.
Well said. And that's very interesting too, because I'm sure you've heard you don't look like a rapper, right? That you may say, oh, you don't look like you rap. And then it's like, it's not about what is on the surface. It's truly, again, coming from the soul. Like I said in the introduction, you're coming from trueness and realness and authenticity of who you are. And, not, and destroying the box that people will try to put you into. That's not what your family placed you to do. Your brother Alex, shout out to your big brother Alex, he introduced you to J. Cole when you're in the middle of doing classical music and the clarinet. He's like, "No, let's listen to this J. Cole album." And make certain that you have this well-rounded education when it comes to music. So you are born and bred for this, even to be able to channel all of that. And I love to hear, especially young people, and shout out to the parents and the family that help to cultivate this experience in so many different facets, so you can appreciate classical, you can appreciate the way that the altos and the sopranos and all those tenor and all those different pieces are placed together, the accompaniment of it, right? And that piece is very important. And I liked what you talk about with vulnerability, having that vulnerability to you know become validated by your peers. How do you decide how much of yourself that you reveal on the track? Because you have a balance of confidence as well as honesty. You'll flex on one line and then you open your heart in the next. You'll rap and then you'll sing such beautifully. So how do you like measure and decide how much of yourself you're going to reveal and place on the track? How do you measure that vulnerability?
I don't, honestly. I think it's funny because when I dropped my first EP in his archives, I was like, oh, this is the most vulnerable, like, I'm gonna get. And then I didn't drop anything for a while and I wasn't writing during that period, like I talked about before. And then by the time I picked up a pen for 1446, like I was worlds more honest with myself and others. And it became so much more vulnerable. And then like the same nerves of like, oh my god, I'm being so vulnerable. This is probably the most vulnerable I'm ever gonna be. Yada 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 came up. And then I realized that that's not that realistic. And what's more realistic, knowing myself, is that my life will probably be a continuous cycle of realizing that I'm like pulling back more and more layers because I hope to just like do that as a person generally. Um, so I don't think it's really about like measuring. I think it's about like jumping off of the cliff and like learning to be more and more comfortable with doing that and kind of just like being honest and writing music and then being like, oh my god, this is all the music that I have, and like it's so vulnerable, and then like freaking out to myself about the fact that people are gonna perceive it, and at the same time like having more and more people like kind of get exposed to it, like friends and stuff, and really encourage me to like drop it. And all of that becomes like a pressure cooker of like, okay, this is in the world now, and then that ego thing comes back in of like, well, it's out, so I'm not gonna have it be out and like it's clear that I don't like it. Like, even if I'm still nervous about people perceiving it, which I still have feelings about that all the time with 1446, it's not gonna show like if you go to like watch one of my videos or to like go to my page and like know more about the project, like you're gonna think that I am like shamelessly honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It made me think about, the space that social media creates, because again, people are very sensitive about what they create. And then it's one thing to share with families and friends and classmates and people that you're close with, but then shifting that to social media, right? And sharing it with the world. It also makes me think about how the way that you speak about yourself and the music, that you're really just scratching the surface of what you have to offer. Like you still are kind of very protective of your music and your content. And like you say, jumping off the cliff, you're starting to, not, you're looking over the cliff just a little bit before you hop over, right? And then maybe even try to hold on to the cliff just a little bit and climb down. But I feel like, you're about to just with get this parachute off of me, and you're about to run and jump off the cliff. And that's what the world is, I don't know if the world is ready, but what the world is catching up to Sumaya Nazar and your style and what you're presenting. But for you as the artist, you're literally just getting started. Like there is so much more, based on what you're saying. Like this is just you playing right now. Like you're just like having a good time, sharing and feeling good. But once you really get serious about creating and shamelessly, like, I don't give a damn what anybody thinks, this is what it is. What about it? That is going to be scary for a lot of people, but folks like me, we are ready for that, my dear. Yes, ma'am. You are about to really hit that. Yeah. Yeah. And then when you get there, it's going to continue to grow. Like you have not, what's the word, you haven't hit that moment where, okay, now you're going to, descend a bit. No, ma'am. Your balloon is blowing, and you're about to get that string and go all the way up into the sun, my dear. Like you really are. And it speaks volumes about what talent you do have, because everything that you have placed together, forget the views, forget the likes. I mean, you have such a talent. You are a creative visionary and a talent when it comes to music. So and let me say this too, because the likes are something that people will engage with. The comments, and you always have so many comments on your on every post that you make, but the views, the people that are looking at what you're doing, is astronomical. So people are watching, and so we can't be bogged down on the likes and the comments, which are still there, but the world is literally watching, and you are continuing to ascend that way. So yes, you are definitely on the right track. And I encourage you so much so to continue on and find that moment, and that momentum to get you running and jump off that cliff, arms stretched out and just ready for it all. Ready for it all.
Thank you. Thank you. God willing.
Yes, ma'am. I truly believe that. As far as you want to take it, because I know you're in college right now. Do you mind me asking your major? You don't have to share that, but I know as a college student, you're balancing everything, right? So, how are you balancing your studies, yourself, and your music?
Hmm. How am I doing it? I mean, you're a professor, so you get it, but I go to NYU for recorded music. I go to the Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music. So I'm blessed to have studies that incorporate what I'm passionate about. And there are times where my schoolwork is my real work. So that's really, really amazing. And I don't want to like downplay that blessing at all. But of course, it's still college, so there's like random credits and things that you need to do. And I also have an Islamic studies minor, so like there's other classes that I'm in and stuff like that. And I think that I've learned that you're not gonna balance everything in your life at the same time, which was what I would try to do before and would like inevitably fail. You're gonna have to focus on each thing and prioritize each thing depending on need at certain points, and like the hard part is actually like discerning when that is and like trying to play the numbers game on that and figure out when things need your attention. So like I was really focused on sessions before, fell behind in school, and now I'm like deep in an essay about the Black Plague. And I'm like trying to catch up in school until next week, and then I'm gonna like start doing sessions again, and like I'm kind of I'm kind of allocating things like that. Um, but yeah, literally before this call, I like showered, ate, prayed, worked on the essay, hopped on the call. Like
And then as soon as you get off, you got something else. Another thing, another thing, another thing.
that
And
essay,
oh man.
exactly.
And I'm the English professor, so my students they have essays right now. I can't say I feel bad because again, what I tell my students is that when you write an essay, when you do the essay, that is you exploring an idea. It's not just an instructor giving you an assignment to complete begrudgingly. It is your opportunity to truly explore this idea and then really give your perspective with the thesis, right? And then the counter argument and supporting it with these articles to support what you say. So it's really when you are as you're writing that essay, it is designed to help you build that arrogance up because you are asserting yourself in that essay. You are saying, your perspectives, what you feel about it, and understanding that what you have to say is valid. It is valued. You want for someone to disagree, and you tell them, well, I'm going to prove this within my essay. That's exactly what the essay is designed to do, is truly to build that arrogance. Because what the world needs is a lot less yes people and a lot more people that's like, well, why is that? Prove to me why I should or should not do something. I need people, and I tell my students, I would much rather you ask questions. The smartest person asks the most questions. And then in that uncomfortable critical thinking piece, right? It's not supposed to be easy, even though, shout out to NYU or in your campus, and you are a musician coming into a musical situation, which is still probably the hardest thing to you. But when you come out of that, when you finish all of the challenges and all of the obstacles that they are placing on you, it will make you even more enhanced to the point where you'll be able to turn around and teach that to others, right? And to showcase that, not just for self, but for others, to see the talent in other people, to help extract that excellence from them. Because there are so many people that are out there, Sumaya, that have no idea that they are even talented. And they are unable to accept or understand when someone tries to explain that to them. And truly, as the star that you are, and you accessing and acquiring additional knowledge when it comes to music, you are going to continuously bless more people. And then with the Islamic minor, in addition to that, that is also going to be a way for you to channel those gifts and be able to bless others as well. So you are, building and even putting more density to your foundation to be able to help yourself, but also to help so many other people, scores of people. You like you said, you only have about 100 something people when you opened up for an indie rock concert, but when you have the 100,000 people out there, when you have the bigger audience, and then when you push that young person on the stage and tell them it's time for you to shine in front of the audience, it's all going to make sense. Everything's going to come together then. So just keep on that track and know it's all for a greater purpose. And I know you feel that too, right? I think you feel that there's a greater purpose in this. And so continue to push forward as you're doing.
Thank you. Inshallah. Thank you.
Yes.
I
No,
definitely
well,
do feel that.
as you should. I had a conversation with a student and he was just as anxious, and I won't say anything specific. Uh, Yet I told him, I'm not Muslim. My stepmother, she is of Islam faith, and he was very nervous about what I had to say and so much and so forth. But my knowledge base is to study so many different religions. I study and understand different things, and so I told him, before you came into this, you had this feeling, but what is the word that that makes certain that everything is all together? And I said alhamdulillah, and his face just brightened and he was like, oh my goodness, like, yes, we resolved the issue. Whatever issue was happening. And when I stated that, because I knew that, because I keep myself scholarly and make certain that I can, be in whatever room with whatever person. And it made him feel so good for me to extract his excellence that he now can continue to move forward as he can. And the only way for me to do that was for me to be able to be a student and learn these different things. So I make that connection with you that you're doing the same, except in such a mighty way, in such a large, grand way, that you're going to do the same, to say that lyric, to give that song, to just to speak that existence into someone to help reveal their own path. That's exactly what you're doing, gaining this college education, because college is a choice, but you have chosen to go to one of the most elite campuses and to build your musical prowess. And that is such a beautiful thing to hear. And in 5, 10, 20 years from now, you're really going to be like, now I see why. You may not feel that way right now, but then you're going to one day be like, oh, now I see why I had to struggle and go through that. So it's all going to come together. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes. So let's ask
That's
a
the
few more
goal.
questions. I want to honor your time again. What'd you say?
I said that's the
I
goal.
didn't. Oh, yeah. Clock it. Yes, ma'am. That is the goal. So let me ask you a real quick question. Um, Coffee or tea? Real quick. Coffee or tea?
Honestly, I love both. I drink a lot of both, but probably tea because I'm quite literally drinking tea like 24 hours a day. If I'm not
Okay.
sleeping, then I'm drinking tea.
Okay. Okay. Good. Studio night or live stage?
Studio nights are more sustainable. Like I want to say live stage, but if it's like how many live stages are we talking about?
Yeah, that's true. Because being on tour, that is a workout of itself. That's true. One more question. Writing
Yeah.
alone or vibing with the team? Writing alone or vibing with the team? Which do you prefer?
I think right now I'm in my with the team era. I've done enough writing alone.
Okay. Shout out to the team. Shout out to the team. And so my last question, because I
Mhm.
want to give you time to
Yep.
rest before you jump into your next agenda, next piece on your agenda. The last question for you for today. Finish this sentence for me. A year from now, Sumaya Nazar will be.
Wherever God planned her to be, inshallah.
And there it is. There it is. You will be blessed. You will be highly favored. You will be amazing. That's a beautiful answer. Such a beautiful
Then
answer.
that's
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
to lose.
Right, right. And wherever you are in the world, right? You never know where you'll be in the world. You will shine as a star you are. You are magnificent. You have such great presence. You have a wonderful personality, and I wish you nothing but the best. I also want to invite you back on the podcast one day, later on if you feel like it. Yes, please. Maybe. Okay.
Until I drop something else, and then we gonna run it back.
Oh, say less. Say less. Okay. High key. Yes, ma'am. Oh my goodness. Hip Hop Scholar family, this has been an amazing, amazing journey talking with the artist Sumaya Nazar. I want you to click on the links below so that you can hear her music, shout her out, and give her encouragement as she continues on in every aspect of her life. So I am Melanie, the Hip Hop Scholar. We are out of here. Peace.